Thank you. Member Bogus? Member Bollinger?
Here.
Member Booth? Member Brinton?
Here.
Thank you. Member Davis? Member Earl? Member Green? Member Hall? I'm here. Member Kelly? Here. Member Bogus?
Yep.
Member Carey?
Here.
Member Lear? Member Longacre? Member Reel? And Member Wood?
Yes.
Okay. Board members, I don't know if we even got to half of our agenda yesterday, honestly. We did a lot of work yesterday, and we've got a lot of work to do. And today we've also have a lot of work to do. I guess I'm preparing you here is we're going to have to jump around because of schedules. We don't have all of our numbers. And so we do want to begin today. I know that we have our strategic plan on the agenda as first, but due to some needs, we want to tackle an item that, and I don't know what agenda item it is. I'm going to turn it over to Chair Carey from Law and Licensing, and he can set that up, but that's where we're going to start today. So Chair Carey, please.
Thank you, Chair Hymas. This will be agenda item 10.5, R277-301, educator licensing. And Chair, I think Dr. Height would be prepared to address that issue. Oh, and the motion before the board is that the board approve R277-301, educator licensing draft 2 on second and final reading.
Thank you. The motion before the board is that the board approve R277-301, educator licensing draft 2 on second and final reading. I know that you're here. I don't have any lights on. Doctor.
We just got here.
Well, you just pushed the button.
All right, so I might have a question.
Okay.
We'll have a motion as well on this one.
Is there a different motion than, is that what you're saying? Sorry. There's an amendment to be made. Okay. Vice Chair Bollinger.
Thank you, Chair. I do have an amendment that I would like to propose. So I'll make the motion, and after a second, I'd like to speak to it. I would like to make a motion that the board amend draft 2 beginning at line 295 to read 10, an individual holding a professional license in a license area of concentration in elementary education, secondary education, CTE, special education, or deaf education may earn an additional professional content area endorsement through A, passage of a content knowledge test or competency exam approved by the superintendent, B, demonstration of any content endorsement specific safety competencies, if applicable, which may include lab safety or CPR, and demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge in the new content area as verified by the educator's LEA supervisor or designee.
The motion's been stated. It's before us. Do we have a second? We have a second. Back to you, Vice Chair Bollinger.
Thank you so much. And I don't want to rehash too much for those of you that were able to listen to our Law and Licensing Committee when we first were making amendments on this. But over the past several years, there's been some concerns about our licensing rules and how they've impacted students and teachers. For example, a special education teacher who has a K-12 license just graduates out of their program, and if they are licensed to teach K-12, but if they teach secondary mathematics, special education, they're required to go back and get an endorsement in mathematics. And the unintended consequence of that is that one, teachers have been leaving special ed because they don't want to have to go back and take 32 credit hours of mathematics, and or once they do, then they leave special education and go become a math teacher. So that's just one example. Another example is a teacher that teaches 6th grade at an elementary school, and they're teaching all the content areas, and let's say that they love social or science, let's say science, and then they move to teach 6th grade science at a middle school in another district. They're now required to have an endorsement in secondary the science or middle school science. And so with that, it requires them, again, to go back, and take additional content classes, and requirements for even pedagogy classes when it was the exact same standards that they were just teaching in their previous job. So I've had several teachers reach out, administrators reaching out, districts reaching out concerned. I do know that we've gotten some really good feedback on a few things. One is the safety aspect. So that's why this amendment is written in, to make sure we do want our students to be safe. We want to make sure that the teachers have the proper lab safety or CPR requirements for health. We also want to make sure that they do have the pedagogy skills available, or that they are talented in those. But I will say that this is for professional licensed teachers only. So this is not just somebody coming off the street. This is somebody that's already been teaching. And then this does not take away from the current competency pathways. So a teacher could choose to still do the other competency pathways. They could take the courses, they could take the micro-credentials, but this allows them a pathway. And just, we've talked about wanting to reduce red tape for teachers, and I believe that this motion would help accomplish that. So I would ask that you consider passing this so we can make sure we can meet the needs of our teachers and keep highly qualified teachers in our schools, which benefit our students.
Member Bogus.
Thank you. I have a motion to amend. I would just move to strike CTE, and with a second, I would love to discuss why.
Do we have a second? Not hearing any. Let's continue. Member Davis.
Question for the motion maker, Chair, if that's okay. We had talked yesterday about adding in the words online C while teaching. Did you, so it would read, and I can amend, or maybe you can just tell me, a C would say demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge while teaching in the new content area as verified by the educator's LEA supervisor or designee, such as, like when Member Kelly gave his example, they're on an LEA only, they're already teaching the thing, that they're getting observations by the principal. Is that something that was, you still were going to do, or it just got missed, or through the chair to the motion maker? Maybe you could just.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Actually, Dr. Height, would you mind coming up and speaking to that? I did discuss that option with Dr. Height. There were some concerns that then that language specifically would force a teacher to become underqualified or not qualified to be able to meet that criteria for that pathway with that language specific. So Dr. Height, would you?
It's already happening. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Malia Hyde, Executive Coordinator of Educator Licensing. If the board chose to add the words while teaching in the content area, it would not allow this pathway for any teacher who's not currently teaching in that area. So if, say, a math teacher was wanting to add physics as a physics endorsement, they would have to be assigned as a physics teacher before they could earn the endorsement, which would require every person that is using this pathway to teach underqualified before they could use it.
Okay. It's kind of hard because only,
Member Kelly.
Yeah, I just want to speak in favor of this motion. I've mentioned before, I think eliminating some of the red tape, trying to streamline things. I'm going to try to quickly tell my story, but I was an English education major. I did not major in finance in college. I was a professional financial planner on the side and was able to get endorsed in teaching a banking and finance class. And then when financial literacy became a graduation requirement, that banking and finance endorsement allowed me to teach financial literacy. And so just sometimes recognizing, hey, my degree is in English education, but my expertise and my ability in terms of teaching financial literacy was was there. And so to have the ability, I think a lot of times to have some flexibility in terms of recognizing that there may be other ways of developing content knowledge other than through, traditional pathways is good. And so I'd speak in favor of this motion.
Thank you. Member Davis, I'm sorry. Do you have additional content? Sorry, I as soon as I called on Member Kelly, I heard a back noise, and then I was reminded of me cutting off Joe. So I want to give you the same courtesy. If you weren't done, I apologize. Let's finish your thought.
Thank you. I want to make it approachable and streamlined so that we don't have to have a teacher who's a licensed teacher go through the whole entire 8 micro-credential situation. If my preference would be if it was teaching in a closely related area. But since we took out that notion of teaching in a closely related area, now we're looking at a bigger jump to the new content area. So I would have been comfortable with demonstration of a pedagogical content knowledge while teaching in the content area for people on LEA only licenses, for people on in that endorsement area, for people like Member Kelly, with then the option for those who aren't doing that, because it's hard to show that you have pedagogical prowess in something you've never taught and nobody's ever observed you. So the principal might say you have it, but if they never see you teach it, how will they know? So I'm more comfortable with that group of people using this, and then people who want to make a big jump from math to social studies or, English to science or what have you, then having the option, if they're not going to start teaching in that area on an LEA only, then you have them take a pedagogy course. So maybe I'll put it in and then it will fail and we'll move on. If it does, that's fine, but maybe I'll just amend that we add the words on line C, demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge while teaching in the new content area.
So there's a motion to amend the amendment here. Am I getting some feedback? Can you guys hear that? We were a little low yesterday. We're a little high today. I don't know if we can get that adjusted. But the motion to amend the amendment is that in section C, it will read demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge. Now we're adding by teaching in the new content area, ... Do we have a second?
Only way you can do that.
Second, back to you, Member Davis, to speak to this.
I think it's really difficult to have someone mark off that you're competent or capable pedagogically in a content area if you're not teaching. They don't ever see you teach in that area. So that's...
Okay.
It's already happening. People are teaching on an LEA only license right now, or like what Member Kelly was teaching.
We've got a question from Vice Chair Bollinger.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe this question would be directed to Dr. Height. So if this language was added in, if we had like that 6th grade teacher that was teaching 6th grade science, currently teaching, 6th grade science, but then to get the endorsement, they'd have to get the middle school science endorsement. So would that prevent their current LEA from showing that they were competent in that area?
Thank you, Chair. I guess one thing that I would see clarity on of the addition of the words while teaching, does that mean while teaching as the teacher of record, or does it just mean in a classroom with students that they're teaching? Because I think my answer maybe would be different depending on the interpretation of those 2 words.
Back to the maker of the motion for clarity.
I think it would be teaching while teaching the course, but I don't think this would preclude an elementary teacher from using this pathway into any of the secondary almost realms, except maybe CTE and such. But because they're already teaching science in the elementary level. They're already teaching social studies. They're already teaching language arts.
Okay. I've got member Bogus and then member Kelly.
Thank you, sir. So I'm wondering, I think what this is trying to address, and correct me if I'm wrong, Member Bollinger, but I think it's trying to address the art of teaching. And if you are a good teacher, many times you can be or if you're a great teacher, many times you can be a very good teacher in a subject area in which you actually have no content knowledge. And it comes because you know how to teach, you know how to impart information. And so part of me wonders why this part of it is even necessary, but I'm specifically concerned with this motion because I think you can demonstrate the language there is pedagogical knowledge, demonstration of pedagogical knowledge. That's very different than content knowledge. And so if you've got a great teacher that has done well for years, I don't know. I'm not certain what we're going to accomplish here.
I think we're on a different motion. We will get back to member Bollinger's motion. Currently, we are on member Davis's motion to add while teaching. This is amendment to member Bollinger's amendment. So, member Kelly, do you have are you speaking to this? What's that?
It is concerning well teaching.
Okay, please.
Mine is a question to the maker of the motion. I did second this motion because I wanted to have the discussion, but I'm trying to understand what if we don't add while teaching. How does this change the motion? I guess I'll leave it at that.
Member Davis.
I mean, this would be, you demonstrate competency from an observation. The principal would sign off. The principal would say, yes, you have competency. So how do you see if a person has competency if they're not teaching? If they can have pedagogical competency in that content area?
So,
Follow up.
yeah, if you don't mind, Chairman. So I'm just struggling with the timing of it. I'll use the example of for me once again because I think I think it fits here, right? I went to my principal. I was teaching English. I was an English education major. I was working in the financial field. I went to my principal. I said, "Hey, I want to teach a finance course. You know, what do I need to do that?" You know, and I was given some steps, but it was easy for me to demonstrate my pedagogical content knowledge in that subject area because the industry was requiring me to do continuing ed, and so I had a handful of ways that I could show knowledge in that content area, but I wasn't teaching it at the time. So could that principal not have allowed that endorsement, if you will, because I wasn't teaching it at the time?
Were you teaching it in those trainings and things? I mean,
No, not yet.
yeah.
Okay.
So you've been teaching last year though. Your principal saw you teach last year.
So we're getting into this kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done.
I-
We can
thank
we
you.
can move on.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm just trying to
I'm just,
understand. Well,
all
yeah.
these people that are calling me and writing to me, I need to be able to go back and say, I tried.
I've got Vice Chair Bollinger and then member Carey.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I agree with Member Kelly. My concern with this motion is it prevents a teacher that's currently teaching to take this pathway unless they're teaching that specific content, that grade level. So when we could maybe the word demonstration, the way it's written, demonstration of the skills that they need could happen at a different time. In my opinion, it could happen in a planning period or student teaching experience, or even some of those same skills they have in their current teaching content, right? Not necessarily a different one. So I would also speak against this motion for those reasons.
Chair Carey.
Thank you, Chair. I would speak against it as well. I do appreciate the addition of A, B, and C. I think that gives the guardrails that the original motion lacked that passed out of law and licensing. But I think this new language is unduly restrictive on individuals who have a passion, have an interest, have the knowledge, and I would just speak against it for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yeah, already. I don't know if they did anything, but it's not echoing. Maybe I need more mics on. Okay, thank you, Chair Carey. The motion before us then, this is an amendment to the amendment, and it is that the board amend C to read demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge while teaching is included here in the new content area as verified by the educator's LEA supervisor or designee. Seeing no other lights, let's go ahead and vote on this motion.
Brinton's a no.
Member Brinton?
No.
She's a faint no. So just tap the
Oh,
button
sorry.
lightly, Joe.
Not hear me?
Thank you.
Okay.
And I think that's it. We're at 13 today. Is that right? Or we're at 12 today? Yes, we're at 12. So that motion fails. 11 opposed, 1 in favor, that coming from Member Davis. We are back to the underlying amendment, and Member Bogus wants to speak to that.
Yes, thank you, sir. So through the chair, Member Bollinger, does this, so I'm just going to make up a story on the fly. So let's say we have a debate teacher and they want to teach English, which is usually the other way around. But my point is, does this preclude them from teaching a class? Because they technically can't teach it without a license, but they have to be supervised as having the pedagogical content knowledge. It just seems like we're putting the cart before the horse with C. Because if they don't have the job, they can't demonstrate. So how do they actually how does this play out logistically?
Yeah, Vice Chair Bollinger.
Yes, Chair, thank you for the question through the chair. So somebody could demonstrate that they know how to teach a particular content area using content-specific pedagogy while not the teacher of record. Every single student teacher does that. They're not the teacher of record, but they're showing somebody who is assessing them that they can teach that content area.
So can they just go in and sub then and get this license? Is that kind of what we're talking
so they
about?
Could potentially do it during, as Member Bollinger said, during a planning period or in some other experience where they're in a classroom with kids demonstrating that they can teach that content area, but maybe are not the content teacher, the assigned teacher of record at that time.
Okay, so would a teacher be able to, dare I use the word, be innovative and add a class?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the credential, but somehow they're going to get this credential before that class begins. That is a conceivably possible thing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the motion then is that the board amend draft 2, beginning at line 295, to read 10, an individual holding a professional license and a license area of concentration in elementary education, secondary education, CTE, special education, or deaf education may earn an additional professional content area endorsement through A, passage of a content knowledge test or competency exam approved by the superintendent, B, demonstration of any content endorsement specific safety competencies, if applicable, which may include lab safety or CPR, and C, demonstration of pedagogical content knowledge in the new content area as verified by the educator's LEA supervisor or designee. Let's vote. Member Brinton?
Yes.
Thank you. We've got you as yes. Thank you. That passes 12 in favor, 1 abstention, and that coming from Member Davis. Okay, this takes us to our underlying motion. And that is that the board approve R277-301 Educator Licensing Draft 2, apologies, as amended on second and final reading. Seeing no lights, let's vote.
Brinton's a yes.
Thank you, Member Brinton. That passes 11 in favor, 1 abstention, 1 no vote. The abstention from Member Davis, the no vote from Member Bogus. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Height. Yep, no worries. Thank you, Chair Carey, for indulging us in that as well.